Hello and welcome to Cinema Savvy for a brand new movie review. It is myself, George, and tonight I am flying solo. I am doing a very quick review of the 2019 remake of The Lion King. So, for those that don't, this review is coming obviously a little later than usual. YouTube has had some big changes recently. They've basically removed Hangouts, so it's made it almost impossible for us to stream together. Now, luckily, if anyone's seen Film Clip from this week, Tate has found a solution for that. He has worked ridiculously hard to try and get something going. So we are going to be back doing group reviews that we're going to sort of cut back content. So I'm doing a very quick Lion King review, and then on Sunday, me and Chris are going to jump on for a Hobbs and Shaw review, and then we're hoping next week we can get the Tarantino review done, as Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is very delayed in England. It comes out next Wednesday, the 14th. So we are looking forward to bringing some new stuff out. Now, obviously, this is a review of The Lion King. This has been out for just under a month now, and let's be honest, I don't need to go over plot. I don't need to go over spoilers. This is a reimagining of the 1994 Disney animated classic. Perhaps probably financially the biggest one they're going to do. It's about for a couple of weeks. I might as well open this up with some obvious thoughts and mixed reviews on Rotten Tomatoes, as a lot of films do get these days now. I understand why. Some people are just going in for Disney for the remakes, which is fine. It's completely understandable. And what I also feel with this one is that 3 in 1 year, Dumbo, Aladdin, and Lion King, it's quite a lot. You know, they were doing sort of 1 a year, which was manageable, but doing 3 in the space of 4 months of releases is really pushing it to the limit. And then, you know, this was always going to be the big one. It got the summer window, it got the summer slot, and it opened massively. Right now, it's sitting at $1.221 billion worldwide, which is the second highest this year, currently 18th highest in the world. It's going to get, without a doubt, best visual effects of the Oscars. I'm going to go into that later on, but it's had its share of controversy. There are people that won't see the film, which is absolutely fine. I understand that. Obviously, there are generations that are going to grow up with this film too. So the whole sort of Disney regime, I guess we could say, is getting to a point now where a lot of the big ones have been done and dusted. They're out and about, whatever you want to say. Aladdin's grossed over $1 billion. Who knows saw that come in? My honest thoughts of this, I've really enjoyed this. I mean, I love The Lion King. I don't have the attachment that a lot of other people do. I liked it as a kid. I didn't care for it much. I sort of preferred it a little bit more as I got older. If anyone's seen any of my old reviews on the animated remakes, I'm going to be quite honest. I'm not bothered by them doing remakes. I'm not a fan. Well, no, sorry, that's the wrong word. I'm not massive on animated films. I know that can be quite snobby. I love stuff like Spider-Verse. I've always liked Pixar, but the Disney classics have never really done it for me. I mean, my favorite ones are always Jungle Book and Lion King, and they're the ones that got remade that I really enjoyed. So I don't have the connection a lot of people do, which again is fair and understandable. It's not here to talk controversies. We're here to talk about the film. Again, I'm not going to talk about the plot. If anyone wants to know about the plot, it's Hamlet or one of them Shakespeare things just updated. But I'm going to go to jump to the comments. We've got JX Editor. Most important question: how long live the king executed? I'm going to get Scar because I've got a lot to say on him. I might as well jump past the plot. You know, we all know what happens there. Now, visuals, I've already said this is going to win the Oscar. This is without doubt one of the greatest achievements in cinema. They're calling it a photorealistic animated film. Basically, it's live action. They did use some cameras. I think Jon Favreau tweeted that they did actually go to Africa, did a shot or two that made it into the film. In theory, it's live action, but there's so much controversy, they've just created a new category, which is photorealistic animated film. I've never seen visuals like this. I mean, Jungle Book sort of raised the bar. Avatar created a world, Jungle Book raised the bar to me, and this has kind of done its own thing. There's nothing like this. Seeing just the detail in every single character, every single sort of animal is astonishing. Even the world, Pride Rock, the jungle, it's honestly like a beautiful film. And I think one thing they want to say is that I was reading Jon Favreau said that they kind of not necessarily built sets. If anyone's seen Ready Player One, they basically did like a VR style. JX actually just commented it. They did like a VR style where they created the world, of the animation first, then place the characters within it, place the cameras within it. You could like follow like tracking. That's what they've done for this, and you can see why, because it just gives them so much freedom. It probably makes it a lot easier for them to animate too, and it's really fascinating way. And I mean, it's probably been done before this, but Ready Player One, I definitely remember doing it. Especially I think for some of the Shining stuff, they said they put some of the cast in VR. Obviously, Ready Player One, it's basically like a VR film. They all wear VR for the entire film, so that's pretty cool. But the visuals for this are nothing short of outstanding. It's gonna win. Is it gonna get put forward to live action? Yeah, Disney gonna put it forward to live action. It will win best visual effects at the Oscars without a shadow of a doubt. I'm going to quickly jump from the visuals to the music. It's very important to me that Hans Zimmer did return for this. This is one of my favorite scores that he's done. This is the only score. Well, the original is the only film he's ever won an Oscar for, which is disgraceful. He should have won it for Dunkirk. He should have won it for Inception. I could go on, but bringing Zimmer back was really big thing for me. They brought back Lee Boehm, who obviously did the opening song. They've brought in Pharrell this time, who's been like a long-time producer with Hans Zimmer on just music as a whole, even soundtracks. I think he helped him on the Amazing Spider-Man 2, but we don't really want to talk about that. And then, yeah, the songs are fine. I'll get to the more sort of dialogue-ish songs, like the classics when we get into the characters, because some worked, some really didn't. But yeah, let's jump ahead. We've got the cast. It's a big voice cast. I'm not going to sit here list every single person. It's a very good ensemble cast. A lot of big names in here. Some of them in very small roles. Some of them bigger roles than they should. But I have 4 standouts. Obviously, James Earl Jones. When they announced this film, obviously everyone said that they need to bring back Mufasa. Now, if they didn't bring back Mufasa, as in the voice actor, this would have been the gaping hole in the production. James Earl Jones needed to come back. He did. He's great. I love him. It's nice to see him doing it. It's like Rogue One when he came back for Vader. Even if it wasn't the biggest of roles, it's just nice to see him being able to do that again. And I think that's a really big thing for this one, because even though Disney have kind of not disassociated the original cast of their productions, but they very rarely had people come back for these live action adaptations. But there's no way they couldn't have had James Earl Jones come back for this, because he's just too iconic for that role. And obviously, we all know what happens to Mufasa anyway. Then what comes with James Earl Jones is Chiwetel Ejiofor. I thought was really good. Now, Scar's probably one of my favorite Disney villains. He's got my favorite Disney song, which is "Be Prepared." So I was very, very worried. Not to sound nasty towards Chiwetel Ejiofor. I think he's a phenomenal actor. When they announced this cast, that's the one thing I was worried about. I thought they're going to bring back James Earl Jones. They'd bring back, oh my god, how on earth I forgot his name? I felt like such an evil person. Jeremy Irons. So I thought, how are they not bringing him back? I wasn't too sure, but when the not necessarily the trailer, but when you're watching, you can't really see the Jeremy Irons Scar in this. I mean, I think jumping into the live action, I mean, just the design of Scar, like to look photorealistic. I couldn't put Jeremy Irons' voice on that. I don't think it would have worked. Now, I think I'll get to the criticisms within the emotions later on, but Chiwetel Ejiofor was great. Jake said, asked how was Long Live the King executed. There is a glorious moment. It recreates a lot of the iconic shots from the 1994 classic, but I may be wrong, so someone's going to pull me out on this. When obviously the Mufasa scene happens, it feels a lot quicker, but the camera angle they use, they kind of like follow like Mufasa, like it was almost like over the shoulder, but he's hanging off a cliff, right? So it like raises like a crane shot, and then you've just got Scar leaning over him. It was a very cool shot. Again, you know what's coming. There's no spoilers to be hidden from this. And it was really kind of weird to see this in live action. I mean, I first saw this at the Leicester Square IMAX, so that was rammed. It was the second day it came out. There was a person in front of me, like, you could hear a lot of people crying. And you know what? A lot of them are like late 20s, not like kids, not like grants. It's the ones that were probably traumatized as kids that had the most emotion to this. I mean, it never really affected me that much. It was still very sad. You had the music, you had the Stampede song, you had obviously Simba alone with Mufasa down at the bottom of the crevice thing. So yeah, and you know exactly what's going to happen. But I thought Chiwetel Ejiofor made a great Scar. Be Prepared was massacred. It shouldn't even really be a song in this. It's, you know, if you watch a musical, you get there's always like 2 or 3 songs where it's just the actor and it's like dialogue, but there's music in the background that makes it into a song, and there's a bit of emphasis in it, but it doesn't really feel like a song, and it's very short. It's like a minute and a half, I think. And there were rumors, obviously, when this film was first announced that Disney were going to get rid of Be Prepared. You could easily see that you can't really have hyenas doing the Nazi much, can you? Not in this day and age. So that kind of happened. Again, I just glossed past that. It got to the next scene. It was fine. Now I'm going to jump ahead from voice cast to hyenas because they were really disappointed in me for this. I know Shenzi got the same name, but they changed the other two hyenas names. They changed the roles up. They said we didn't want them to be comedy. We wanted them to be dangerous. And the problem is that they still did a bit of comedy. It wasn't funny. They didn't really feel dangerous because you know that they're the hyenas that are they're Scar's bitches. Let's be honest. There's nothing more than that. And it's harder going into this knowing what happened to the hyenas are no threat. They do a little bit more of backstory and stuff. You know, they're trying to add a couple of minutes on here and there to give like Shenzi a background to Mufasa and whatnot. But I thought the hyenas were quite disappointing. They looked great as absolutely everything, but there was kind of no substance for them, and I just didn't gravitate anything towards them. I don't think it worked what they tried to do with that one. But jumping back to the voice cast, I think the main standouts which everyone's spoken about is Timon and Pumbaa, Seth Rogen, Billy Eichner. Billy Eichner steals the show without a shadow of a doubt. He is incredible. A couple of years back, me, Chris, and Tate did a Q&A video. Someone asked, what should the live-action Lion King cast be? I think Chris got one right. He said that Rafiki should be the dad of Black Panther, which it did end up being. So Chris got that one right. And then I said Timon and Pumbaa would be Seth Rogen and James Franco. So I got one of them right. But Seth Rogen was great as Pumbaa. He was everything you thought he'd be. Billy Eichner stole it. He's very, very well sort of timed, I guess, with the voice acting. If anyone's seen Parks and Rec, that's the main thing I know him from. I know he's done like Billy on the Streets. I think he's an American Horror Story. But his comedy timing is great, and the sort of the emphasis, like he's kind of like an Adam Driver in the sense that whenever he finishes a sentence, there's like 10 times emphasis from the fifth word than there is from the first. So you kind of get that with him, and it really works well for the character of Timon. JXO says, do you think I would have a particularly hard time syncing the original dialogue to this? That's very interesting. I think you would on any shot where you can see their mouth, but then sometimes I wouldn't say it felt out of sync, but there's a lot of shots where you don't actually see the mouth of them moving, so it might be like over the shoulder. But I think it would work for some moments. Maybe some songs it'd be a lot harder on, I think, the bog standard scenes. They tend to change a couple of words here and there. But I'm intrigued. I mean, we always know someone's going to do that project eventually. You can't do the whole film doing it. That's kind of impossible. Be easier to do the new voices on the animated film, which would also be like blasphemy. So I wouldn't recommend attempting it that way around. But I am intrigued to see when inevitably someone does put the Jeremy Irons voice on Scar, see how that is. I thought Donald Glover was fine as Simba, transitioned well from the voice actor. I mean, Matthew Broderick was fine as well. Not well as in from the original. So going to Simba, there's no issue there. Nala had a bigger role with Beyonce. She wasn't as sort of Beyonce-ish as I thought. She overpowers him in the song. And they do give her like one extra scene, which seems to be that every live action film gets like 2 or 3 new scenes. But I feel that Nala's role was fine. Most of this film's fine. Like there's nothing particularly special about it. I think it's one way of saying that. I mean, I really enjoyed this. I had a good time in the cinema. I saw it twice. It's nice to get like the family, but as a whole, it's just like every other live action remake. I mean, Dumbo, I think had a little bit more originality to it all. It felt like a Tim Burton film trapped in a Disney film, or a Disney film trapped in a Tim Burton film. This was exactly what you were going to get, and you know what? I didn't mind it. This is what I wanted, and as a kid, given the option, would you rather have a live action film or an animated film? I will always say live action, because just naturally that's what I always gravitate towards. Some things like Pixar would never work, just purely on the design levels, but the white animated Disney classics, they're kind of designed off real life, just the drawing. So there was a lot of controversy within that. But I feel that that's a big point of this, is that, people, it had mixed reviews, which is fine. But it's also had an astronomical box office, which is fine. I mean, Disney have this cash cow, but then at the end of the day, they've kind of done their biggest animated films now. I mean, D23 is in a couple of weeks. What are they going to announce? We know they're doing Little Mermaid. We've had the casting for that. There's, to me personally, of like the top tier Disney animated classics, they're pretty much all done now. Some of them, like you'll never see Pocahontas as live action, purely just because of getting the actors and whatnot. There are some films they won't touch. There are some films which they'd fly to get through, which I think are all out now. JX said again, I thought Dumbo was going to end with the bushes were clear and there'd be a huge gathering of animals witnessing the birth of Simba. I didn't think Dumbo would end like that. I thought that Jungle Book would. I mean, if you go back to the Jungle Book, there is like a warthog and a meerkat in there, which was like a little mini sort of Easter egg in the build up to this. It was cool that John Favreau got to carry on and whatnot, but I didn't really imagine that in Dumbo. I thought Aladdin might have tried to make more of a reference. But I think, I've kind of given all my thoughts on the Lion King. There's not much more I can say. There's not much to say on the film. It's a live action remake, literally shot for shot, music to music, dialogue to dialogue. I enjoyed it. Some people enjoyed it. Some people won't. Kids are going to grow up with this. People are going to dislike it. That's fine. It is what it is. There's nothing particularly special about this except the VFX. The VFX is honestly worth like case studies for the future. Like I cannot wait to see behind the scenes to see how the whole of it was sort of put together, the time it took. So that's stuff I'm intrigued by, the actual creation process, but not the actual final output of the film. And I think one thing this is worth saying for me, as I've kind of said before in this video, I don't really care much for these Disney remakes. As I said, the two I cared about were Jungle Book and Lion King. They're both done. I don't really care what's next because I'm not attached to anything else. Pixar was my main sort of animated thing growing up, and I guess a lot of people on the channel know that the main thing I've always been into is stuff like Star Wars, superhero stuff. So animated films, I've got a different level of respect. I respect them massively. I just don't have that attachment that some people do, which makes it easier to watch them. But then also, obviously, in terms of respect, it makes it a little easier to kind of not go along with it. But I understand why Disney are doing this. But there is going to be a time. I mean, Dumbo only made 300 million, but then Aladdin and Lion King both got over $1 billion each. For those that don't know, the top 6 high-grossing films of the year so far, 5 of them are Disney films. The other one's Spider-Man, which, let's be honest, is a Disney film, although it's done by Sony. JX Editor says DLACU, Disney Live Action Cinematic Universe. It's kind of already a thing, mate. At this point, why not? I think there was another cinematic universe, which I joked about, which is kind of becoming a little bit more of a thing. I can't remember what it is. That'll have to come up in another video for another time. But I think this is my review. It was short and sweet. There's nothing more to say, just like the film. But anyway, guys, I'm going to head off now. We will be back on Sunday with a brand new video, which is going to be the Hobbs and Shaw review. That'll be me and Chris, and it is going to be a lot of fun because that film was glorious, and there is so much but so little to say about it. So anyway, thanks for comments. Take care, and we'll see you the next time.